Why did the old school Kung Fu masters say that they could beat somebody in 3 moves? And why does that kind of make sense? Let's talk about it. Can you really defeat somebody in just 3 moves? Not 20 moves, not 30 moves, not a whole Kung Fu sequence, just 3 moves. Because in the old school Kung Fu movies, they would say something like,
I can defeat you in 3 moves.
Usually it was anywhere from 3 to 10 moves, but 3 being on the lower side, right? And you was really a badass if you could defeat somebody in just 3 moves. So, I try to put that into my Kung Fu practice and keep it in the back of my thoughts. Like, can I just defeat somebody in about 3 moves? And would I live up to the old school Kung Fu movie challenges of defeating my enemy in 3 moves? Is that just in the movies? Or is there something real to it? Let's see. Let's dive in. Let's dive deep. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And on this channel, we train Wing Chun. We don't just do the forms and show off moves. We try to think about how to actually apply these moves. And while I'm practicing, I'm always thinking about how would I actually try to apply these moves in real world application. And today, I'm breaking down how would I apply the 3 moves challenge, if you will. Because in old school Kung Fu movies, it was always a challenge to see if you could defeat an opponent in 3 moves. Which kind of makes sense to me because in real life, I'm not trying to have a Kung Fu battle. I'm trying to get the work done, take down my opponent, and get up out of there. So today, we're breaking down the idea of how you can finish a fight in 3 moves, where it comes from, and how you can train for it. Because that's what I do down here. I practice. I'm still a student. I will probably always remain a student. And I like to practice for real world application. So how do you train for this? How do we practice defeating an opponent in 3 moves? Look, in the movie The Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, after the chase scene through the bamboo forest, Li Mu Bai catches up with the young girl, Jin Yu, and tells her that she should be his student. And basically she says, if you could take this sword from me in 3 moves, then I'll be your student. And you can see what happens here.
That wasn't what.
Bow to your teacher.
Never.
In that case,
That was it. He got her in 3 moves, and then she still refused to be his student. Plot twist. But y'all see the 3 moves is right there though, right? And here's the truth. 3 moves doesn't mean 3 flashy techniques. It means 3 opportunities. 3 chances to intercept, 3 chances to break structure, and 3 chances to finish it. That's it. In Wing Chun, we don't wait. We don't try to trade blow for blow. We interrupt, control, and end the exchange quickly. At least that's the goal, right? In the movie The Sentimental Swordsman, again, you can see these guys talking about 3 moves. They played it out a little bit differently, but still the 3 moves is there, right?
但是你只出了1次手，还有2招。
1, 2, 3. You see, he got the first move. Then because of the challenge, he just walked up to him and touched him for the other 2 moves. They was kind of showing out for this movie. Big challenge, okay? You know what I'm talking about. He just touched him and it was all good. But that was still 3 moves. Okay, let's break it down. The first move is going to be to intercept, right? Your opponent is going to try to attack you in some way. They're going to try to throw a fist at you or a kick at you. At you. That's it, right? This is all we got. This really breaks down to distance, right? So at what distance are you going to intercept them? If you're at a longer distance, a kicking distance, then you intercept with your leg. If you're at a shorter distance where your arm is fully extended, you're going to be at arm's length. Or you might be at a close range distance where now it's knees and elbows. So those are like 3 distances that you can kind of just think of. And now as you're intercepting the opponent, they're kicking or they are punching, you have to keep this distance in mind. And then also this goes along with how much training do you have? You may be just a beginner and only know the chain punch, which will still work. So you have to think, how can you use this chain punch to do 3 moves to get in there, right? So if they're kicking at you, you want to intercept with the punch. If that's all you know, you got to use it. And then you want to feel it and then move, move, move. That's 1, 2, 3. But it takes a lot of training to just do that with a train punch, right? And of course, the more you train, the more you're going to have tools to use as you engage the opponent at these 3 distances, right? So if the opponent kicks at you, you may kick back to engage them. And then now you may know from the pressure that you feel what to do. And if the opponent is throwing a fist at you, whether it be straight towards you or around, depending on your level of Wing Chun training, now you will kind of know what to do. Because maybe you only know how to do the chain punch in Chi Sau, right? That's what it's for. At least in my opinion, that's what it's for. You know, of course, if you're more advanced, you can do advanced moves, but maybe not everybody is advanced. And of course, this is why you want to practice. This is why I practice, to get my Wing Chun up so I can have more tools as I engage into the opponent, right? Make sense? Okay. So if somebody is punching at me, whether it be around or straight towards me, I need to intercept it. If they're punching around, I need to get in and intercept it, which will probably be like a tandar, right? Now I've touched them and I blocked, and that would be count as 1, right? 1, 2, 3. Now, and that's it. And then now that should be enough to take that opponent out, and then you get out of there. Again, you're not trying to have a Kung Fu battle here. You may not be at the level where you can go 100 moves or do a 30-hit combo. You may not be there. And you really don't want to do that. You are not in a Kung Fu movie in real life. Of course, I do train to be able to do that because I want to be able to feel the art. And because I love Kung Fu movies, I want to be able to replicate some of the moves I see in the movies. But that's a movie, and we do train and practice for real life application, right? Okay. If you have engaged the opponent and they're kicking at you, whether you have used your arms or your legs, boom, you intercept. That's 1. Now you're going to move in and you're going to be at arm's length because this is a distance. And so now you have to, hopefully you get your hands up, you know to get your hands up, because they're probably going to try to punch you after that. Or if not, you just move in and you just keep going with what you know, which hopefully would be the chain punch, dim germs, open hand palms, tandars, you know, very simple, basic moves. They work. Now it's up to you and your training to make these things work. Now, and then so as you move forward, you move from kicking range to punching range and then into elbow range. Now, if you're in kicking range, boom, then you hit punching range. Hopefully you knock that out. Now you got to go straight in because that's your 3rd move, right? Or if they just punched at you, you can pocket and then you can go straight in. That's 2 moves. But now you got 1 move to spare. Boom, boom, boom. Whatever your Wing Chun level is at, you can use that 3rd move. Or because fists come a little bit quicker than kicks, you might need 2 of the moves to thwart 2 punches. Because usually somebody is going to come at you and they're going to at least go 1, 2, or 1, 2. People are wild. Most people think that they're going to go 1, 2 like a boxer, or 1, 2, or 1 and 2 or whatever. But most people in real life, they think they're doing this, but then they get to move and then they be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm saying? And so you need to, so you can engage them. Like if they're swinging over, you got 1, 2, 3, You want to take this person down with whatever you got. So that's really the key, is to go in and engage them. Now, it does take quite a bit of training and confidence to keep moving forward. And that confidence is at the root of Kung Fu training, in my opinion. In one of the episodes of The Legend of Bruce Lee, I think it's episode 4, you'll see that during Bruce Lee's training, Bruce Lee was going against his Si Hing, or his older brother. And the master, who should have been Yip Man, told the older brother to give Bruce Lee 3 moves. Here, we're almost directly talking about Wing Chun, because in real life, Yip Man was teaching Bruce Lee Wing Chun, right? And of course, you can see the 3 moves for the challenge. It's right there. And you can read the captions and see that while they were fighting, the master was talking about distances and keeping control, which goes along with everything that I'm thinking. And then when the older brother was defeated, he got up real quick and said it was no fair because the master gave Bruce Lee the 3 moves first. But by then it was too late, buddy. You let him get the 3 moves. That's all he needed. But I think they did a few more extra moves. They got to stretch it out. For your second move, it's kind of a 2-part move, because you're going to bridge the pressure that you felt from the first move that I briefly mentioned into the second move. And then that pressure that you feel from the first move and continuing into the second move will determine how you are going to deflect the opponent and what move that you can do. Of course, this actually depends on the amount of Kung Fu that you have, and also what distance you're at after that first move. One of the goals will be to get into a close striking distance so that you can end the fight effectively and in your way. Whether you're using your arms or your leg first, that will determine your distance and that pressure, and then you use that pressure and bridge into the second move, and then you're trying to move closer into that person with that second move and set up so that you can finish the fight with a third move. Doing this all takes practice, right? And this is nothing that's mandatory, and of course it depends on who you're fighting. There's no guarantee that you're going to end a fight in 3 moves, but I feel like if you practice it, there's more of a chance that you can end a fight in 3 moves. And then, of course, your opponent, he or she, may be very skilled, or they may have alcohol in their system. They may have drugs in their system. They just may be really pissed off and have a good heart, and they want to keep on swinging and fighting and everything. And it's up to you to determine what's going on with them and what that third move should be. But since for right now, you're in the second move, you felt some pressure with your leg, and then now you're trying to scoot up to the second move. Maybe you felt some pressure with your arm, whether this person is trying to swing around at you or they're throwing some type of straight punch and you feel them. Now you're bridging this up into your second move. And then you're getting ready for whatever your third move could be. Boom. Something really good. Or maybe you felt the pressure. Boom. And you got to deflect that pressure. Now there's your second move. And then potentially a third move. Or you felt this pressure and you deflect, right? And then now here's your second move down here. And then the third move right there. Potentially, you're setting up for this third move. So the second move is bridging of that pressure that you felt, determining what your actual second move is going to be, executing that move, also knowing that you have to get closer to the opponent and setting up for the third move. And now on to move 3. In the 2002 movie Equilibrium, Christian Bale's character takes on Taye Diggs' character at the end of the movie. And that fight didn't last long because once again the 3 moves was demonstrated in their Kung Fu, or Gun Fu for this movie.
I plan to be wearing it for a long time.
You see how quick that was? That was only 3 moves. And that's how you end a fight. And your 3rd move is your finish move. It could be an elbow, a palm strike, a punch, a knee, or possibly even a kick. But basically, you want to end the fight or the challenge with that last move. Like in the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, his finishing move was to take the sword back. So he had to get in position so he could take the sword. Your finishing move doesn't always have to be a finishing move like in Mortal Kombat. You can end up in jail for that kind of stuff. Pulling people's heads off and everything probably is not going to happen. Your finishing move just has to let the opponent know that the fight is over. Maybe it's a palm strike of some sort or a push so that you can just get away from the opponent. Hopefully, you have closed the distance so that you can use whatever tools you have. And the closer you are, the more tools you can use. Because if you're still out here, you might not be able to punch and reach them, obviously. If you're here, you can't use an elbow or a knee strike. But if you're here, now you can still punch, palm, elbow, knee, and kick, sort of. You know, it's not going to be a full extended kick, but you can kick where you're kicking the side of the opponent's leg, right into the knee, into the ankle, something close range kicks. Again, that's why you have to practice all of these type of moves so that you know that they even exist. And if you're a Wing Chun practitioner, then you do know that they exist. And if you want to learn Wing Chun, then you have to come and see my Sifu. You see, this is just me practicing in the basement. Things that I want to do with my Wing Chun. These aren't things necessarily that he's taught me. I'm just down here trying to level up. Y'all feel me? This is how I take my practice to the next level, and I'm sharing it with y'all so you can take your practice to the next level. Okay? And if you want to come and see my Sifu, he's part of Moyak Kung Fu in downtown Waukesha, Wisconsin. You have to look him up yourself and ask him if you can join. That's up to him. It's his school, baby. I'm his student. You dig? Real quick, I don't mean to break up the fun and the learning, but I'm going to tell you to go check out my website, thegoldragon.net, in a shameless self-promotion break. The website is up and it's full of martial arts shirts and spiritual and energy shirts so that you can wear your training, so that you can wear your energy. I'll be doing some restructuring of the website, but it's up and operational for now. So please go check it out. And if you see something you like, make a purchase. It helps to support this channel, and I thank you very much. Most fights are chaotic. They don't last very long. And the person who reacts first usually will win the fight. For Wing Chun, when you put this with maintaining your structure and controlling your center line, then you may be able to end that fight into 3 moves, just like in the movies. Kung Fu. You know, this is where I got the idea from. The idea has been around for a very long time. They put it in the movies for a reason, although they were making movies. But this helps you to become efficient. And this helps you to practice being able to end the fight quickly. It doesn't take being a master of all the techniques. Really, it just takes clarity under pressure and ability to relax. Let's be real though. If your 3 moves our spin, jump, flying kick, like in a video game, you might win the fight. Or you might end up in the YouTube fail compilation. Could happen. Wing Chun is simple for a reason. There's no extra movement, no wasted energy, and no buffering in between techniques. Just straight to the point. So how do you train or practice for this? Just like me, you may have to do this on your own, because not a lot of schools are training or practicing for this particular method. This is something that I kind of developed on my own just to help my practice out. So I use the wooden dummy a lot for this because I can gauge my distances, and I can close my eyes and pretend that I'm engaging the opponent at each level and at each distance. And every time I learn something new, I try to practice that one technique over and over again, each time at that distance, over and over, until I get the full understanding and the muscle memory of it. I will close my eyes and practice and pretend that this is happening, and I'll do that over and over as well, because if this is a real fight, you won't have time to think. Whether it's a simple technique or an advanced flashy technique, at every distance I want to start to practice it. Whatever it is, just so I can get closer and closer to defeating my opponent in just the 3 moves. So, can you finish a fight in 3 moves? The real answer is yes, but also maybe, because it depends on your opponent and how much you practice. I think the key here, which is more important, is can you make your movements count, where and when you need them to count. Drop a comment below if you think 3 moves is realistic. And then hit the like button on this video if you practice and train seriously. Then subscribe to the channel for more Wing Chun practice and training content, because that's what this channel is all about. And remember everybody, the goal isn't more moves, it's better ones. Train and practice smart. Train forward. And when you practice to try to be the best. You might as well go for the bullseye, right? You may not become the best, but at least you can try to get close. This is the Gold Dragon, and I'm out for today. Peace.